Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a Nep Shadow deck. So first thing I'd like to start off with, I only have one Twilight Queen, otherwise I would be running two, optimally dropping one Demon Eater probably to run the second Twilight Queen, or dropping just something else that's at 3 that probably isn't really that necessary. But for the most part it does the same sort of job, it's just the lack of consistency with the Twilight Queen when you've only got one. Although the late game is fairly similar, dropping the Nep, hoping for the cards to go off in the right order, getting out your Mords and your Underworld Watchmans, and basically dominating the game from there. So we'll get right into some games. The first match is Dragon, still one of the most popular decks. You're not going to find much different on ladder at the moment other than Dragon, Sword, and maybe a little bit of Shadow and Forest, and the occasional Blood. Most likely in that order. Starting off with a pretty bad hand, honestly. I'd much rather have stuff like Demon Eater and my low drops, unfortunately. Our Tempest and Nep don't really work out nicely with that. Although Zombie Party gives me an option for an early clear. But Little Soul Squisher gives me board presence. Ability, useful but not really usable right now. Much better off fading out. Villainous, a great anti-aggro card, being a 2-drop, getting that extra 1 damage on a random target, it's not too bad at all. And of course we've got Demon Eater. Means we don't get the greatest benefit out of it, but we do get the extra draw, which is great. Especially in an Nep deck where you want to be generating shadows and drawing cards as much as you kind of can. Of course, since we've already got double Nep in hand, we're pretty much set as long as we can drag out this game. And this deck has plenty of ways to remove things. So it's more just about survival than absolutely anything else. Not the greatest combo, but it works. And of course, Dragoon Forte. Very common in Dragon. Luckily, like I said, plenty of things to get rid of this, whether we go with the Foul Tempest and just use it as a generation card or something, or Zombie Party for 7 being much more effective, getting us a lot of board presence. Forcing a second Breath of Salamander, it's kind of the plays you want. And fortunately going into turn 8 with Nep, gonna make it very hard. Unfortunately, you don't really want to play Nep when they have absolutely nothing, not unless you're really going to push. So drawing out as much as they can is probably a better play. And of course I've still got the Soul Squashers, I've got the Foul Tempests, the Tossed Curth, now I've got Lurching Corpse, that's the 2-for-1 trade there. And since we don't really have anything else, Nep was kind of my only decent option, plus we've got the second Nep to back that up. So all we've got to be able to do now is push face with this Mordecai, which Dragon doesn't tend to run any of its banishment removal, so we should be good. Bahamut would be an issue if we didn't have Nep. Thanks to having Nep or a Lurching Corpse doesn't really make any difference, because if Nep pulls a Underworld Watchman, we win. If they pull another Mordecai, we also can win due to lockdown, so as long as they aren't banishing, we're pretty much set. If we make a small mistake, probably shouldn't have evolved that Mordecai and probably just evolved the attackable one so that I could use it, but this has worked out in the end anyway. I mean, what's this Bahamut meant to do? Nothing, because it's got locked on board, so perfect. Second match against Rune. Seems to be floating around a little bit, Rune. I mean, most people are using it to climb Grandmaster at the moment because it does counter pretty nicely. I guess you're looking for a fight. So you'll mostly probably see Earth Rune over most other Rune decks at the moment. Which, if you're looking for an Earth Rune video, I've got a couple up, so you can go check those out. Unfortunately, this hand is also pretty lackluster, getting Foul Tempest and Double Soul Conversion. Without a follower to really proc off them, they're not that great. Fortunately for me, my opponent makes no turn 1 play. And their turn 2 play is easily countered by Zombie Party, so works out quite nicely. can easily trade with that. Not having too much concern. And unfortunately, the only way to get rid of that is a Foul Tempest. Would have much preferred not to have had to use that way, but sometimes you don't have a choice. You don't want Stella getting too much value.
Come gather round.
Another Magic Illusionist. Luckily we have Cirrus of the Night, which is a great thing with Clash ability, so it's going to take literally 0 from this battle, while getting rid of this and allowing me to clear this Earth Essence.
Don't hold the applause. Come gather round.
I mean, they do get the draw, which kind of sucks, but that's not so bad when you consider it overall.
You're done for.
And trading this is pretty much instant value loss.
Figure out my tricks yet? You figured it out.
And wasting that Price of Magic. And giving me the chance to play whatever I like. Not really any concern. Like I said, as long as we can push to turn 8, Nep is usually going to be playable, so all you have to do is make it that far, and by the time you do, usually you can dominate the board.
It won't be long now. How uncultured.
Lucky my opponent, not a big issue. So we do have the Soul Conversion, which works quite nicely. Either one of these is going to be pretty good to get rid of, and the other one can be removed through Undying Resentment if we chose. But why not just use the Soul Dealer while I can, luckily off that draw. And of course, Star Phoenix. To be expected. But now we can pretty much have a free Mordecai play. No reason not to play the Mordecai there. We have Nep, but may as well save it just in case. I mean, expecting things like Taboo and that, where Nep will actually come in handy.
My name's Levi, don't forget.
This world and the next
As said, Nep, come in handy. Getting a double clear and a Mordecai, pretty much perfect, while giving us the 4/4 maximum. And 7 damage straight to the face. Our opponent doesn't know what hit them. Alright, Starseer, so they're basically just aiming to re-up.
I am a fiction and a
Well, Wizard of Ozzing, great. So, Cladamus Curse, or Mutagenic Bolt. Mutagenic Bolt, the only one weakness to this Nep deck being Banish or Transformation. Luckily for me though, I am in a fairly good position overall, with plenty of options available.
I'm all tuckered out.
Lurching Corpse, Soul Conversion, our nice little bit of draw power, we get rid of this 4/5. We remove any extra spells, and fortunately Demon Eater also gets rid of this 1/1 for more draw power as well, giving us pretty much a great hand.
gaze upon my lustrous runes.
Now opponent just warding up.
I'm stuffed.
Not really doing too much substantial.
This world and the
And of
next
course I
are
finally draw Twilight
unchanging.
Queen right when I don't really need it.
Judgment for heretics like you!
My rune maker is dead.
Let's do this right.
But another Mordecai.
I'll save my daughter!
This time Professor doing its job,
This sacrilege
giving them a
will
little
save her.
bit of something.
Commence
A mentor.
But getting cleared by Foul Tempest pretty easily, so no real concern to me.
No! Welcome to the
And I can set up this Twilight Queen to proc off the Mordecai, I believe, so no real issue with that play.
My daughter.
As long as Mordecai isn't banished, we're pretty well set.
The night has begun.
So I did drag this game out a bit against Rune. Sometimes you just gotta do that.
I'm stuffed.
Unfortunately, Price of Magic, banishing it makes it a lot worse. It means I need some decent last word effect if I really wanted to get any value. Luckily for me though, getting rid of this entire board is really little of a concern, honestly. They're basically top decking now, and I've got enough removal that there's nothing that can really stand in the way. Except Oz. Oz is a little bit of a tricky one. I mean, if they had got half a decent draw, they could have dealt with me, but I suppose if they're running mutagenics, they're not going to want to play those against these, so very difficult choice. And plenty of options to remove per game.
Unbelievable! No.
Impressive. Looks like you won.
And the final match, another dragon. Like I said, dragon's quite popular, so not too surprising that we end up with more dragons than anything else.
Come on!
Bow before Dark Dragoon, ruler of the skies.
So drop the Duelist and the Ceres, try and aim for something early. Don't really get much. We get another Mordecai. Not much good to me at all in this early game. You really want those to be pulled off Neps if you can. Of course, Mordecai works well against Dragon, especially against Bahamut, because they're pretty much uncounterable at that point, especially if you get two of them on board.
Dear little one, it's mealtime.
Fortunately, nothing substantial. Pretty much can play a little Soul Squasher or Zombie Party, and that would have been my only option, so throwing out the Soul Squasher just because.
Hey, why so angry?
Just to put some pressure on them, make them use their removal.
You're mean!
Foul Tempest, something that's quite good, but not so easy to use in this turn. I would prefer to save it until we can actually hit a decent board. Fortunately, do use both my Soul Squashers though, so that's not much good to me in the later game when the evolves will become quite a problem.
I can't keep relying on you, dragon.
Hear the dragons roar. There's a lot more where that came from.
So they built their board, they're attacking my face, and they're leaving me with not much else I can do. Kind of unfortunate, honestly. At least this way I can pressure. I mean, Ceres of the Night is great for pressuring aggro decks.
Trust you are prepared.
That Clash just making it virtually invincible to most low-level drops.
Bluest water.
While at the same time dealing substantial damage to larger drops.
Sorry. I've got to take
Ready
a break.
to witness my true strength?
A dance
So
to
where
make
they send
the world
this?
blue. How uncultured. You're mean. Ow.
So from here we just need to be able to survive, so fortunately that Lurching Corpse was pretty much ideal. Do use the Fell Conversion instead of the Demon Eater just so I can try and put something.
Sure a handful. All
Unfortunately
must
don't
come
get
to
much.
an end.
Get enough to pretty much clear the board off and only leave that 1-2 up. That's about it. From here becomes a lot more difficult to survive.
Ow.
Of course, Foul Tempest works great. Not so great if they do have Genesis, that was my biggest risk here. Of course the heal puts us just out of range, but it's still a risk nonetheless.
How uncultured.
And having to take the risk on the Nep, which is at this point pretty much guaranteed to pull Underworld because we've used a fair few other last words, so the odds of not drawing Underworld were pretty low.
Like food.
Actually, I don't believe it would have been possible to not draw Underworld there,
Defeat.
which they pretty much concede because I've just healed all their damage and got a bloody invincible body. So if anyone's interested in this deck, I can say quite confidently that it works pretty well. Like I said, an extra Twilight Queen is a lot better than running one, but since I only have one, that's what I've been messing around with. So if you guys enjoyed the video, if you did hit that like button and subscribe, you'll find the deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya!